Hi everyone, welcome to Maxfield, Maine. Why don't you come along with me today? I'm going to show you this 50 acres in central Maine that is very rural yet easy to get to. This property has over a quarter-mile of paved road frontage, electricity, and communication lines roadside. We've got a driveway, a small brook, and some nice trees and good soil. So strap on your snowshoes and let's go for a walk and take a look at this property together. One of the features of this property is the road frontage, and we've got about 1,700 plus or minus feet along this road on the paved road. This is River Road in Maxfield. You'll notice above us here we've got electricity roadside, and there's also a communication line buried here along the road. It's not off-grid, so it's one expense you won't have to incur. To build here, you can hook right up to the power. The next nice feature of this property is a 750 feet of private driveway that's already run onto the lot. It's got a steel gate here that's already been installed. We've got a heavy buffer of trees down here by River Road, and we've got a cleared potential building site up on the hill about probably 30 or 40 feet in elevation higher than the road. So it's a nice elevated site, well-drained driveway, easy access. This is one potential building site. You can pick another if you like, but this one's halfway prepped to be in a good place for your cabin or your new home. We're about 600 feet up the driveway now, and we're almost in the center of the cleared building site that I was mentioning earlier. This is about, I would guess, 1.5 acres to 2 acres of cleared ground here. There are some bushes growing back in. The clearing was done probably 5 or 10 years ago, but it could easily be opened up again, leveled up. A previous owner had a preliminary soil test done here. No septic design, just tested, and the soil scientist said it was fine for a septic system up here. So a lot of the preliminary work is done. Like I said, the driveway, the clearing, somebody a really nice place to build a home, year-round home, or a second home vacation cottage. If you've ever watched any of the videos that I've made on land, you often hear me talking about the quality of the soil. And I know we just mentioned that this property had preliminary soils done for a septic system, but there's more to soil than just septic and drainage for that. The soil quality will determine how well trees grow and agricultural crops will grow. It'll determine what kind of wildlife you might see on the property and the rate of growth of crops and trees. This property, according to the NRCS Web Soil Survey, is a mixture of mostly Plaisted and Colton sandy and gravelly loamy materials. These are very good for growing trees down near the road where the land is more level. With some tree clearing and moving a few rocks, you'd probably have some really good agricultural land down in that level ground closer to the River Road. We're up here on the hill a little bit on this property here in Maxfield, and I want to stop and point out some of the tree species that we got growing here. Right here I got a beautiful red oak tree, and there's a number of those scattered all over this property. Up behind me here you can see a really large big white pine. There was a timber harvest done here, I'm guessing 8 years ago, maybe 10 from the looks of it. It was done before the last two owners have owned it. But yeah, it's a nicely wooded piece of property, nice mix of trees. We've got a lot of young oak coming up under the older ones and some undergrowth of pine, spruce, fir. There's some cedar down along the brook. You've got nearly every tree, and including larch in here as well, that grows in the state of Maine. Well, we've made it up the hill quite a ways now. We're almost in the dead center geographically of the land. And I wanted to talk to you about the elevations here. You may be concerned, some of you will be concerned, you see the river so close to the property down there at the road that there might be some flooding. And, you know, certainly that road in a major flood event could flood. But right now, we're about probably 80 feet above the road, about 220, 30 feet of elevation at this location. And you'll notice right here, we just came up a fairly steep slope, and then we've got this plateau. And if you weren't concerned about the cost of running electricity, maybe you want just a little off-grid cabin on this land, what a spot this would be. We're 500 or 600 feet from the end of the existing driveway that could be extended over here. Build a little cabin on this little bluff right here. Clear some trees. I'm thinking we might get some views of the mountains north of us over towards the Appalachian Trail. This is a really nice place. We got some older hemlock, some pine, and some mixed hardwood in here. But clearing this, bring the driveway up, great spot for a little off-grid, little secret spot for your off-grid cabin. Before we continue on towards the back of the property, I want to thank all of our returning subscribers. Thank you for your supporting our channel, folks. We do appreciate that. And if you're new to our channel, please like and share the video down below. And if you don't want to miss the next one that we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications. Hey, if you're concerned about buying property in the winter, you really shouldn't be. This is my favorite time of year to look for properties because I can see a lot that I can't see during the summertime. If you can picture this property right now, I can see for hundreds of feet in every direction because there's no leaves on the trees. You know, and a lot of people say, well, I can't see what the ground looks like. I'm worried about the soils and that. We can test soils in the winter most of the time. We don't have enough frost under the snow. We can't dig a hole. We also have the advantage of having all that government mapped soil out there for us. So we got a pretty good idea what the soil is and how good the ground is. But if you come up here in the winter, grab your snowshoes. If you don't have a pair, call ahead and I'll get you some. Come on up and take a walk around the woods in the winter. It's really a fun time to come out and look around in Maine. And you can see a lot more. Right now, I can see a view of the mountains off in the distance, and if you could probably have that view, but you'd have to cut down a lot of trees here to get it. And of course, you could do that. But yeah, it's a beautiful piece of property. Come on up in the winter time with me and just take a look around. We've made it to the back of the property, and this is where the property line comes to a point. This lot looks like a upside down ice cream cone, but it's much wider on the road than it is back here. It comes to a point. Town of Howland meets the property line here, the town of Maxfield Howland town line. We're about 2,700 feet back here off of the paved road where we started. So the next stop, we're gonna walk this line, the opposite line down, and when we find that brook, if we can find it under all this snow, we'll show you that. We may have to just show it to you where it is on a map, but we're gonna try that, so stay tuned. We got about 20 minutes of walking to get down there, and we'll take a look at that next. Wanted to point this out to you as we're walking back towards the road. There is blazes on the trees on this boundary line over here. They are getting old and faded, but you can still see them. If you're the lucky owner of this property, you'll want to come out here in the next few years and touch up this paint. Make sure you don't lose this boundary that's here. We're halfway back to the road here, folks, almost to the brook, and we came across this old tree stand, hunting stand, and just a little history out here. I grew up in the next town south of Howland, and this is right on the town line. And I used to hunt this property when I was a teenager, and there was one day, I think I was 17 years old, I come in here, and I think this stand was here then. I remember there being a stand over here. I haven't seen it in 40 plus years. I shot a deer not far from here with my buddy Ron. I had set Ron up in a tree and told him I'd see if I could move some deer around, and the next thing I know, I got tired, sat down, and one walked out in front of me, and the rest is history. Sorry, Ron, about that to this day. But yeah, this is a great area for hunting white-tailed deer. There's a lot of rough grouse in this area. We got black bear, wild turkey, really good hunting area. We're not that far from Bangor, so it's easy to get here. We'll talk about the location a little bit later. But a little history, the hunting opportunities here in Maxfield. I'm down here in the ravine, and we're just coming to where the boundary line meets the little brook. And this brook forms up in a ravine that kind of parallels the boundary line on this side of the property. Enters a lot right here, and then meanders through it for 500 or 600 feet before it crosses River Road and runs into the Piscataquis River. This is an unnamed brook. You'll see it on the topographic map. I think it runs most of the year. I've seen it running here in the summer. There are a couple of feeders that run off the lot into this that don't show on the map. You'll have to see those when you're here, and if you come in the winter, you'll have to trust me where they're at, because you're not going to see them under the ice and snow. We do have moving water here. It's early March. Crystal clear water still flowing, and we don't have a lot of spring melt going yet. None, as a matter of fact. But we're going to follow the brook down and hit the road and go talk about the location a little bit more. We're back down there the road now. We're between the boundary line here in the northwest corner and the brook off to my left. The road's behind me. You can just barely see it back there, about 75 feet. Let's talk about the location here in Maxfield. This is a very rural town. There's less than 100 people that live here, and it's quite remote and rural. It feels that way, but it's only 5 miles out to the Interstate 95 with exit 217 in Howland. So Howland's your nearest service town. There are no stores here in Maxfield, no gas stations. You better bring it with you. Don't forget the bread and milk. So you got Howland, you got gas stations, restaurants, small grocery store. Lincoln is the next largest service town, and that's 17 miles right to the hospital in Lincoln. Lincoln has a big building materials store. We've got box stores like Walmart there, a couple grocery chains, small shops, doctor's offices, of course the hospital. Bangor is about 37 miles from here. The city of Bangor is a real gem of a little city, less than 40,000 people in that town. You've got a larger hospital, you've got all kinds of services, all the shopping, and some world-class restaurants for such a small city. Great place to go out for the dinner for the night, be back here in Maxfield in about 35 minutes, so that's real close. The city of Portland is 166 miles, and you've probably heard of that. That's Maine's largest city. And Boston is about 271 miles to the south of us here, and that's about 4 hours and 20 to 30 minutes from this location. So it is rural, it feels private, and it is, but you can get there from here. We're back out here on the highway here on River Road, not much of a highway. And I want to talk about other points of interest near this lot. Obviously, well, not obviously, directly across the road here, the land's right here. Across the road 20 feet is the Piscataquis River. That's that open white expanse. It looks like a field. It's frozen solid right now. 5-6 miles down the road, we've got beautiful boat landings on both this river in Howland and the Penobscot where they come together. Great landings. You can put in any nice sized bass boats there. The smallmouth bass fishing in these two rivers is world known. There's also trout and salmon in these rivers in different sections of it. It's a great place to canoe, paddle a kayak, run some smaller or some larger boats in the lower reaches where it's a little deeper. Beautiful little rivers that you can explore while you're here. Also, we've got 2 glacial lakes, less than a half hour in both directions. Schoodic Lake is off to our north and west, and it's a 7,000 acre cold water lake over 200 feet deep. It'll say 180 on the maps, but I found places deeper. And Coldstream Pond is about 20 minutes from us to the east. 3,600 acre lake over 100 feet deep. Cold, clear, crystal clear water in both those lakes. Excellent cold water species fishing. There was a 14-pound lake trout caught in Coldstream this past weekend at Ice Fishing Derby. You know, it's just a really rural area, but a great hub for anything you want to do outdoors. From boating, hunting, hiking, the Appalachian Trail's not far, Bangor's close if you want to go catch a meal. The coast of Maine's an hour and 15 minutes from here. It's a really good base of operation. Come on up and take a look at it. Let's go back to the pickup and we'll wrap up this video with all the terms of the property. Well, we're back to the truck. Thanks for coming on the snowshoe with us today. That was a nice one. We covered almost the entire lot, the perimeter of it anyway. I forgot to mention earlier that one other point of interest here, the University of Maine is only 22, 23 miles from here and less than a half-hour ride. So if you want to catch a black bear game or go sign up for a couple classes, right down the road. So let's wrap this up with all the terms of this property here in Maxfield on the River Road. We've got 50 plus or minus acres. The taxes on this are $1,233 plus or minus for last year's tax year, 2022. We don't have this year's out yet. Price on the property, $75,000. We've got 1,700 feet of road frontage, 750 feet of driveway with a gate. We've got a little creek on the property, some nice big trees, elevations that would offer some nice views. You want to come take a look at it, give me a call, 800-286-6164. And again, don't forget, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. You have a great day.